The farm and bot side invades has proven to be a very effective strategy in earning wins at the League of Legends 2020 World Championship. This is Jensen presenting to you my breakdown of the level 1 invades that we have been seeing, prominently featured in Group A, where Suning beat Team Liquid and Team Liquid then borrowed such a strategy to get a lead in which they were able to snowball against G2 esports. This is the form and bot invade, and we evaluate if this is the most OP strat at Worlds and if there is a possible counterplay towards it. Do hit the like button and subscribe to this channel if you do enjoy tactical breakdowns and examinations of the games that have been happening at Worlds. So this is what happened in the game between G2 and Team Liquid. Team Liquid walk in from the bottom side of the map. They walk in, they find G2 on the red buff, contest it for them, and take a lead off of this. Now we have to ask ourselves why invade level 1, and the first and most obvious thing is that this will enable you to influence the bot lane, firstly potentially blowing any flashes on the opponent's bot lane 2v2, and also this will create a potential split map scenario and guarantees you control the bottom side river simply by being able to chase the opponent jungler away from the bottom side of the map at least for the first 3 minutes. This will almost always guarantee you push on the bottom side of the map almost regardless of the matchup that you are playing, and can be very useful when you pick a champion like Braum that usually tends to seed lane pressure, go for such a level 1 play, win the skirmish, and then be able to control the bottom side of the map. And there's two possible scenarios that can result of this. Right? The first is that you accept the full map split and you continue to do what we call a vertical jungle, where the red side team would then continue to stay on the bottom side of the map, and the idea here would be to choke out the opponent bot lane. Or the other alternative is where you would try to farm 3 quadrants of the jungle as the red side team, starting out on the opponent's red and raptors, and then farming your own red buff side of the map as well. Let's evaluate an example where we see a split map scenario. So this is Team Liquid versus Suning, where Broxa is on Lee Sin and SOFM is on Nidalee. Now Nidalee goes for an invade level 1 together with the rest of his teammates. Team Liquid sees the invade coming in and chooses to back off. Now note that by the time Lee Sin walks all the way around and starts on the opponent red buff, Nidalee has already finished her Raptors at 2 minutes 10, and if she wanted to, she can just directly cross back into her own quadrant of the map with her mid laner and contest Broxa for the rest of the camps, and that way Broxa will be level 2 for an extended period of time. But instead, SOFM sees a juicier target and clears towards the bottom side of the map, identifying that if he does split the map, he can get something more out of it. Now keep in mind that the bot lane matchup was a Twitch Rakan against a Draven Leona, and being able to play for the Draven lane, it would be rather effective. So SOFM chooses to split the map here and completes the third camp on the bottom side of the map, finishing up the Crocs, and then looks for a threat of a dive on the bottom side of the map. And all of this time, Lee Sin is only able to take 2 camps, securing red buff and the Crocs, not even hitting level 3 yet, and he is now forced to respawn on the top side of the map. Throughout all of this creates a 21 CS lead for the bot lane of Suning, and with the tempo lead that SOFM has been able to accrue himself in the jungle, they then snowball this lead to a victory for themselves. In the G2 example, we covered this earlier, they walk in through the bottom side of the map, they flip it on the red buff fight. So G2's response to this was, okay, let's take a red buff smite fight in this case, because Grace, unlike some of the other champions, they're very effective at such level 1 strategies. It's not all that fast at doing Raptors. So if Nidalee is able to smite away the red buff, this can actually create a rather favorable scenario for G2. But Team Liquid doesn't have any of that, flashes onto the Nidalee and kills the Nidalee. Of this kill, Grace then moves into the Raptors, eating all the Raptors except for one small one, and then crosses back into his own side of the map. In all of this time, Nidalee has only finished 1 camp, only picking up the wolves, and this creates a large level and EXP lead for the Graves over the Nidalee, which he then continues to use to pressure Yankos throughout the entire game. So how can you possibly deal with such level 1 invades? Now there's a few things that we can look at here depending on the champion that you're playing. Starting on your Raptors, if you have a power farming jungler that's good at clearing Raptors, you can simply let them start on the red buff, you do the Raptors, and then contest them for the fight after that. So if you have the likes of a Hecarim, a Lilia, or a Kayn, as you will be able to sustain up much more healthily off the Raptors as compared to them during the red buff. You might be able to win this fight, and you can go for such an option instead of choosing to flip it on the red buff fight, and this would chase your opponent out of the bot side jungle as well, allowing you to maintain control of the bot side 315 Scatter Crab if you were to go for a farming jungler matchup. Now it is important that you have a bot lane to redo that is strong at skirmishing, perhaps the likes of a Karma, a Braum, or perhaps a Nautilus or Trash champions that are effective at fighting these level 1 contests. The other option would be to simply accept the map split temporarily, and you pick, and this is if you have a ganking jungler with the likes of like Lee Sin or Volibear that have a decent level 2 option, and what you want to do is start Wolves or Blue, gank mid, and then invade on the opponent's top side of the map to prevent yourself from falling too far behind. Now, if your opponent does opt into a map split scenario, this is a few things that we can look at as well, where you get your bot lane to ward and defend the Crocs, so that you don't fall too far behind on camps, and to borrow LNG's coach Nelson's solution to this entire scenario. To quote the tweet, other than 5 manning level 1 bot side or preparing counter invade on the enemy's top half, opening wolves, and I think he means blue buff instead of golem into enemy top side clear, with top and mid prio, you can then choose to have the mid laner TP towards the bot lane, and this can be done with the likes of Lee Sin or Volibear as well, where you start one camp, gank the mid lane, and then when your opponent tries to go for the split map, dive on the bottom side of the map, you accept that, take the skill check, and now with the space that you have created for your mid laner, use that TP down to the bottom side of the map to relieve that pressure and secure the wave for them. That wraps it up. I think the farm and bot invade is something that we are still going to continue to see throughout the course of Worlds, and it will be interesting. I think I've seen some solutions where people use the likes of Kane, people use the likes of even say a Zac can just simply accept the trade, or use some of the things that I proposed as well. But nonetheless, I think we have to see how these teams adapt to it. This is how LGD lost to Suning in the LPL playoff series itself, and I think that it has been successful twice in earning wins in Group A of the League of Legends 2020 World Championship. Now, this is Jensen, and if you've enjoyed this content, once again, please do drop this video a like and do consider subscribing to my channel. Your support means a lot to me. Have a nice day and get hyped for Worlds.